Record. Good evening, Cornerstone people. I'm Steve Hartland, even though it says I'm Cindy Antique on my screen because this is her Zoom account. I got to just break down and get my own Zoom account, huh? I hear it's pretty easy. Anyway, good to see you all. With me, I have my friend, my comrade, my fellow laborer, Jay Jones, Pastor Jay from Freedom Church in Windsor Mill. That's over on the west side of the city. So we're going to talk with Jay in a minute, but before we get to him, just a couple quick things for all you Cornerstoners. Do you like that one, Cornerstoners?
I like that.
Yeah. A little bit of a update on the protocol. So for last Sunday, we allowed 100 people plus essential staff. This Sunday, we're going to 125 plus essential staff. Same protocol. Only adults have to wear a mask. You only wear a mask from the front door to your seat. Then you can remove it for the whole service. You do not need to wear a mask while singing. And then after the service, from your seat to the front door, unless you stay there for a while and then everybody starts ripping those hot, awful, nasty masks off and just talking. Anyway, so as far as distancing and the seating, it's up to you. If you want to sit with some friends, you are free to sit with some friends. That's for you all to decide on. Or if you're sitting in a row with somebody you don't know, you can ask them, hey, is it all right if we sit right up with y'all? Or do you want some space between us? Whatever they want, that's the thing you do. But you're welcome to sit together. 50 of you can sit together. We don't care. Whatever you're comfortable with. One more thing then, I'm leaving protocol, and let me just talk about this midweek. Since we've gotten back in the building and our numbers are growing in the building, your participation in these midweeks talks has really fallen off. So I'm debating, do I want to keep doing this? Because it's like going down, man. So text me, write me, hit me up somehow. Let me know if you want these to continue. Otherwise, this might be the last one, or they might become sporadic. We'll see. All right, I think that's all I have to do. Yeah, back to Jay Jones. Jay, want to have you preach over at Cornerstone sometime here. You coming over for us?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
For you Cornerstone people who don't know this, I got to preach it at Freedom twice, I think. I've been there twice.
Has it been twice? I know it was at least one time.
I know it was
maybe
once.
Twice. Yeah.
It might have been twice. Anyway, love you, love your church, love what's going on.
Too,
tell me where you're born and raised.
Baltimore City.
In the city?
I was born in Baltimore City. I was there until 9 years old. Then I moved to Harford County and have been in Harford County ever since. Ever since.
You're in Joppatown now?
I am.
Yeah, man. Right close by to our building. You just become one of our pastors. Come on. You live so close. We need you.
So close. And then I could also hit La Toteca on my way to the church.
On the way back from the church. There. We could have meetings there. How old are you, Jay?
32.
You are 32. See,
they call it the Jesus age.
Yeah, be careful. He got crucified right after that stuff.
He did.
Watch out. So 32, man, we need you. We need 32-year-old pastors. We're looking for we're looking for young guys. Stan and I are both approaching mids. Well, I'm 65. He's about 64. We're getting to be ancient and decrepit. We need some young blood. So got our eye on you. But anyway, get serious again. So you're married. Who you married to? How many kids you got?
Yes, I'm married to my wife. Well, that's obvious. Her name is Megan. Megan Jones. We have 4 children. We have 1 son. He's the oldest, and 3 little girls.
What's the oldest age?
9. He's 9. The next one is 8. The next one is 6. The next one is 5.
Brother, you are just starting to get into the grocery years.
Yes.
You wait, man.
Yes, it's actually getting terrible, and the quarantine has not helped because they eat so much.
Really? Groceries went up?
Yes,
that's crazy.
We literally had to look at our budget and say a change has to come.
What do we do? Huh? A change?
Yeah,
that's
like,
a great. A change has to come.
You like that? I
like that one. Yeah, that's appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been interesting. You know, the kids usually eat in school and all of that. So
now they're eating at home.
Yes.
And they're eating. Say, I want to ask you. Oh yeah, tell them all how you and me. How did our paths first cross? And I think it had to do something with a certain Keisha Ann.
Yes. Keisha Ann, formerly known, the artist formerly known as Brady at the time. Now married to my friend Josh Carter. She was hosting a Bible study in the city on Chester, Yeah, right down from Johns Hopkins. I honestly don't remember how I ended up at that Bible study. I still can't recall. Some kind of way my cousin and I ended up at the Bible study. And
Cece?
yes.
I remember Cece, yeah.
Yep. Those group of people became our really good friends. And I met my wife, my then girlfriend, and we both started going there. And things just kind of went from there. Yeah. So I remember coming to what was your church, Trinity, at the time. We would come on Sunday evenings and sing all these songs I had no idea about. I was completely unfamiliar with. But yeah.
And by the way, folks, this man can sing. He's got a voice. I should ask you to sing for him. But
no, you shouldn't. No, you should not. You should not.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I remember meeting you, and at that point, I was 21.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, 21,
wow.
going on 22. So I'm almost.
Well, that's right, because Freedom Church is about that old. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other Freedom.
Yep.
And then were you part of Freedom Hazelwood, as it's called now, from the very beginning, or pretty close?
No.
So
the way that the story goes, I am not a follower. So anything that I see a large group of people doing, I'm just going to try to do the opposite of that thing. So
really, like generally in your life, you're that way?
Yes. So I never told you this, but it was like my life mission to never be a member at Freedom Church. If you ask anybody, ask my wife, she's like, he just kept saying, I'm never going to Freedom Church. The joke's on me, actually.
Yeah, but, you're a pastor in Freedom Church.
Yeah. So I was heavily affiliated with Freedom. Again, I had a lot of friends that went there. I actually went to serve Freedom for a period of time as their worship leader, but I was never a member. I just was attached in some sense to it. Yeah.
Yep. Man.
Yeah.
And then, so were you a pastor, elder, overseer at Hazelwood before they sent you over to Windsor Mill to be a pastor?
Okay, so I came from, I was a member at Hazelwood. I'm sorry, I misquoted before. I was a member at Hazelwood before Windsor Mill happened. Prior to coming to Freedom Hazelwood, I was a deacon and was licensed as a preaching minister at another church. I came to Freedom for the sole purpose of planning a church.
Oh, you did?
Yes. So Pastor Crawford and I had a conversation. He said the Freedom had a process by which they could graft me in and then send me out. So that was the purposes behind me coming to Freedom Church Hazelwood. And so they brought me on as a pastoral intern for a year. And then I did that, and then Windsor Mill happened, and I became a part of that process. So
that happened. You were only that pastoral intern for like a year, and then you went over to Windsor Mill.
Yes.
Went fast, man.
Very fast.
Weren't there a bunch of guys who were also like in the pipeline for ministry?
Yes. And actually, there were other people that were in the pipeline. Windsor Mill wasn't even necessarily attached to me. It was something that Freedom Hazelwood was already doing, and I joined the process of that. It just became evident as the process went on that this is where the Lord was calling me.
Pretty wild.
And
is your church 2 years old yet?
Next month.
Next month?
Hold on. No, August. So August 26th. So we're almost there. 2 years. Almost,
yeah. That'll be awesome, man. And let's see, we're at almost 9 minutes already, man. It's ridiculous. Time flies. Tell us a little bit about the health of your church in spite of COVID and all. What are your feelings about it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I wouldn't say that I'm surprised, because I believe that I get to serve what I like to call a great stock of people.
The stock?
Yes, I think our church is great stock. I think I couldn't ask for a better congregation to serve. They have been extremely faithful, faith-filled in this time frame. To be honest with you, we haven't had many issues. We do have a portion of older members, and so there's some health concerns and safety concerns and things like that. But I mean, everybody has joined us strong on online services. Our small groups meet on Zoom. Even our older members figured it out.
They might have had some younger members come over and help. But. They got it up and running. Huh?
So I feel like community is still strong. We are still strong as a church, and everybody's excited and anticipating coming back together as well, which we're planning on doing in July.
All right. So you haven't come back together at all yet?
Not yet, but we're a few weeks out. Yep.
Yeah. I think of churches I know of, more of them have not started meeting than have started meeting. Yeah. Which makes us look a little radical. We're coming up on week 4
you guys,
or something.
You guys have gone rogue.
Is that what that is? Yeah. So, all right, we're at 10 minutes and 26. Sorry, we could chat like this for a long time. It'd be fun. But here's what we're going to do at this point, people. We're going to stop this meeting, but we're not really going to stop it. And we're going to change it. And from here on out, Jay and I are going to have a totally unscripted conversation. We have not planned this. We haven't prepared for it. We haven't exchanged any notes. We're going to have an unscripted conversation about what's going on in the United States today. You know what I'm talking about. Not COVID, the other one. And you're welcome to stay, or you can say, all right, I was there for 11 minutes now. I'm done. I'm bailing. Or stay on with us and hear what we have to say to each other and in your company about current events in the United States. All right. So end the meeting. Start a meeting. Hello, Jay. I got to switch notes real quick over here. Hang on. I don't have any notes now, but I want some notes in front of me because there are things I might want to make mention of, like that dock right there. I want that bad boy. While I'm doing this, Jay, tell everybody roughly what's the racial composition of Windsor Mill, Freedom Windsor Mill.
You talking from an ethnicity standpoint?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're about, I would say about 80% Black, 20% white. Mm-hmm. That's shooting high. I mean, we have some other things there. Obviously, my family is biracial, so you got to account for stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have a few Hispanic people. We have some people who are actually African, actually from Africa. So yeah, cool. It's an interesting, it's a cool mix. You know, not even just ethnically, but from an age bracket standpoint, it's a very wide range of individuals. Yep.
Yeah. Sounds healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my guess would have been that you were 80% African American. So, right there, I'm not surprised to hear you say that at all.
Yep.
Your leadership, are you composed of Caucasian and Black there?
So it's funny because I never thought about this until current events. We were having a conversation, and there was a bunch of Black guys sitting at the table, and I was like, "Oh." Oh, okay.
Call me anytime I'm needed. All right.
Yeah, I mean, so we are, you know, I think you know enough about us to know that we are constantly putting people in pipeline year after year after year. Mm-hmm. So I know that will change, but presently, it's all Black men.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah. So presently we have 5 elders. One of them is Black, Stan, but another one we voted on this Sunday to become an elder with us. His name's Carl, and he's born of biracial parents.
Okay.
So, by the way, you and your wife being Black husband, white wife, and Crawford being Black husband, white wife, I think if you ever plan another freedom, it has to follow the trend, right?
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to. Freedom only sends out Black men with white wives.
That's all. It only works that way. Don't mess with the system. It's working.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This is too broad a question for me to ask you or us to get into, but I'll start here anyway. What do you make of the racial sides of the tensions that are going on in our nation right now? What's going on with all this? Why are we talking so much about race? And it seems like racism has changed. Like when I was a kid in the 60s and we had race riots in Baltimore, and I was in the city sometimes and was scared, man. It was just a bad place for a little white boy from the country to be. Race was thought of in terms of how do you as an individual feel about another individual who doesn't look like you?
Yeah.
How do you treat them? How do you feel when they're done talking to you? How did it feel to them? That was race.
Yeah.
That's not it anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's the structural thing. There are systems and structures that are oppressing people, and we need to pull them down. Am I right? Is that a lot of the narrative, or are you seeing something different?
It's a part of it. Yeah, I think the question is very broad. I think let me tell you what I perceive is happening. Uh, I, obviously the '60s wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Um,
You weren't alive.
I wasn't alive. However, I mean, it's within a reasonable amount of time from where we are,
Yeah.
where people are still alive. You understand what I'm saying?
Like me. Yeah.
Yes, and so I think what you had in the '60s, I agree with you. I think it was more individualistic by nature, and not necessarily um, in the broadest sense. And I think that some of what you see happening right now is the '60s happened, and then it was like it was done with, right? Like we handled the racial tensions, and we handled racial discrimination, and now we're done with that. So I think what has happened over the last 50 to 60 years is there have actually still been things that have been underneath the rug.
Yep.
I'm going to use that term.
Didn't fix everything, right?
Yeah. And so I think it's a combination of a few different things. I think, the term that people keep using is unrest. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that's a super PC word. But I do think that unrest plays a part in it. I think that there is, within the Black community, some unrest that has been felt for a long period of time. That when you add that with social media,
Yeah.
and you add
stirring
that
the
with,
pot.
yeah, you add that with the fact that murders are now being filmed. Like you didn't have that.
Yeah.
You didn't have that in the '60s.
No.
You didn't have ready access to and such instant access to the stuff that's happening. You had what was happening in your community. So in that sense, when I'm saying like individualistic, it was very much about your community. Now it's very broader because we have so much access to the world within a matter of seconds of picking up our phone. So I think it's, to me, what I see is, if we look at the United States as a family, it's a family who has issues that they've never dealt with. And unfortunately, when you've never dealt with things and you don't even know how to deal with things, you have chaos.
Yeah. We sure do.
And so I feel like I know this is a long answer, but I feel like from all sides, everybody is trying to play therapist and nobody has been trained.
That's good. So when you say there were things that got swept under the carpet, things from the '60s that didn't really get fixed and they're surfacing now, are you thinking in terms of individual racial attitudes? Like, would you say the average Baltimore African-American citizen has some issues about white people in general, or is it more about the systems, the criminal justice, police, we're not treated fairly? What is it?
Yeah, so I still say I think it's a little bit of both. Would I say that the average citizen of Baltimore probably has some issue with white people? Again, I feel like that's generalizing, but I would probably say yes.
Really?
Yes, to a certain extent. I don't know that I can fully answer that question for somebody else. But yes, in the sense of, I think all of us, no matter who we are, including yourself, unless you have a relationship with somebody, the only thing you have to go off of is what you've been taught, what you are told through the media, and what other people have said, like what other people's experiences are. And then, of course, personal experiences. So if I've had a bad experience with a white man, all of the rest of my experiences will be based off of that. I think when you look at the '60s, it's like, okay, so now we're not segregated. But I feel like that's where it stopped. Like, I feel like, okay, now we're not segregated, but we still got issues to deal with, because segregation and slavery has left a lot of scarring.
Absolutely.
Emotionally, mentally, relationally,
economically,
fiscally,
educationally.
Yes. And I feel like those are the things that are now being brought to the surface at this point. It's like, hey, there's some other things that we need to deal with besides the fact that we're no longer segregated. Like, we all live in the same neighborhoods now. Okay, great. Now what?
Yeah. What do we do next?
Yep.
Yeah. I guess it's reasonable that the situation was so bad prior to the '60s there's a lot of ground to cover, and it's just going to go in leaps and jumps and spurts. We're not going to have like one day where we finally fix it all, right? So I can understand that it's taken a while till the next one surfaces, but man, the 60s, that was a long time ago. You know?
Yes. But I also think it's a long time. It's a long time for silence.
Is that
So yeah. So I think what's happening is, I mean, so I like to talk personally. So imagine you have something that you want to say to a person, right? Or something that you feel toward a person, and you hold it. Now, of course, we're believers and we have the Spirit of God living in us. So God, he causes us to operate different. He does different things in us. But I think that I'm just talking about natural Jay, right? Natural Jay, if I hold something too long, I will end up exploding. It's just
so we're seeing an explosion now because it's been held?
Yeah. I'm not saying that the explosion is right and righteous, but I do think that there is a natural element to it. You know what I mean? Like there's just something that there's just like it's like, to me, again, I'm not condoning it, but my mind said, of course, this is what will happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know, yeah. So yeah.
So I think Baltimore has about 600,000 people. And I think the city is 63%, is what I've read, African American.
Yeah.
That's unusual for any city, even in our nation, to have that large a proportion of African Americans in one city. 63%. So if we were to interview all those 63% of 600,000 and ask them, what do you think the biggest challenges, the biggest issues, the biggest things that are holding some of the African American community down in Baltimore City these days? Would they answer, is it poverty? Is it police? Is it job discrimination? Is it, what is it? What are the issues that would come right up for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a little bit of all of those things, to be honest with you. I think included in poverty, you have a housing issue, the quality of housing, you know what I mean? I think a police issue, okay, possibly, for sure. Drugs.
Wait a minute. Okay, possibly, for sure. Which one of those was that?
Nah, I'm saying, like, because here's the thing. I'm gonna try to figure out how to say this. So yeah, I have to be like, I don't know. I always try to be careful because I think that.
Do you have police officers in your church? We do in our church. They might listen to this.
Yeah. I do, but I also like family members, and and so you're trying to, like, I understand that everybody's not the bad guy. I get that. But you're also asking me a general question. So I'm trying to, like, answer it without adding myself to the equation.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say that there's probably a strong mistrust of police officers, because that's something that I've personally felt and at times still feel. Now, people may not like that, but that's fine. I mean, that's the truth. You know what I mean? I think that that's a thing. I think you also have just generations of people. Something that I feel like we don't often talk about, that I talk about a lot with the guys that are close to us at the church, and it's just like Baltimore has PTSD. And I think one of the things that never gets addressed is the trauma that Baltimore has felt for so long.
Generation after generation.
Yeah. Within its communities, its families. Because part of me feels like we definitely need to address the systems. I agree with that. We definitely need to address. We definitely need to address the systems, but I feel like we also need to address the people. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because I think that, like, you can fix the systems, and the people, if the people aren't helped and served and loved and cared for, and relationships are built, it's probably not going to change too much. I think totally that,
and vice versa. If you just focus on the people but don't do some fixing of the systems.
Yes. Yeah.
Not gonna get better.
So I hear a cry for both and right now. I hear a cry for both and. I think relationships have to be built, and we want relationships, but we also want systemic change as well. You know what I mean? And I think both are necessary.
And systemic change in what? Name the systems.
Definitely law enforcement, for sure. I think, yeah. I mean, of course, that's going to be the big one right now because because of what we're seeing.
Yeah.
But I think even just systemic change, and all the stuff that we just mentioned, housing and a thing that comes up a lot is accessibility. And I think accessibility can be argued in some sense because it's like
accessibility to what?
To jobs.
Jobs.
And
jobs.
Yeah. And so
education, legal help.
Yeah. The school system needs to be reformed for sure.
Big time.
We can talk about Baltimore's government structure. Terrible.
Forever,
there's been a different mayor every other day. So, it's like,
I know. Yeah.
So clearly something's wrong here.
Something's broken.
Something's not right
it's
here.
Like if our church had a new pastor every 6 months.
Yeah, that's
something's
problematic.
Broken in there,
really,
right?
really, really problematic.
Yeah,
for sure.
Uh-huh.
And everybody would know that, and nobody would be like, "There's nothing wrong here." No, there's actually something wrong here. Yeah.
So, go back to jobs.
Mm-hmm.
No, let's leave jobs a minute. I think jobs is a very important one, but I also think that the breakdown of the two-parent family is a big factor for cultural life in Baltimore City. The culture of families really affects the crime rate among young men. Mm-hmm. Am I on to something there? Would you agree with that, or am I?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons young men turn into crime is, well, it's because maybe they don't have a dad to say, you behave yourself, young man. But it might also be because there's no job to turn to. There's no path forward. There's no hope. I want to make some money. Well, how can I do it? Like get out in the street and hustle.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen that. You know what I mean? I've seen that in my own family, and I come from a single parent household. My mother did remarry at one point, but it was me and her.
Wow.
A lot of my family members come from single family households. And one of the things that happens when it's just one parent in the house, that parent has to work.
Yeah.
So then you have a child or children that are left to themselves. And in a situation like that, what does a child do besides get informed from the environment? So if the
which is a whole lot of other children being left alone.
Yes. And then the environment speaks to protect oneself, right? It's me against the world because that is the mentality that comes with an environment like that when you're left to yourself, because somebody has to keep you safe, and it's like, I'm not blaming single moms, and I'm also not blaming dads necessarily, because every dad wasn't gone by choice. You know what I mean? And so
there you go.
And so I think that, like there's a lot of issues, man, like a whole lot of issues. That we kind of just need to parse through, and figure out how to address some of the specific needs,
Yeah. So I've been thinking and writing in my spare time, Cornerstone people. I'm a pastor, but I've been working on this a lot in my spare time. And I got, what am I up to here? 14 pages of just notes I'm taking on thoughts about what we need, what would fix things, and so on. But we're at 29 minutes for this, and we have the cheapo. It's not cheapo. It's free. We have the free Zoom account, and they only allow you 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
And the video stops.
You should have told me. We paid for ours.
You pay for yours? We're cheap, man. Like, we even said, oh, heck, if we get to 40 minutes and need to go on, we'll just hang it up and start another one.
Start all over again?
Yeah, that's right. Uh-huh.
They'll
allow you to do that. But just to go through my list real fast, like I'm thinking about politicians. We've been talking about that, new mayors all the time. Politicians are part of what needs to be fixed. Hang on, let me scroll down past a bunch of this stuff. All this is about, all right, police. definitely things that need to be fixed. So you know what I think? They're talking about defund the police, and I get it. They don't necessarily mean totally defund it. It might mean reallocate funds, or some of them do mean defund it, and maybe that'll work. You know, they did that in Camden in North Jersey years ago, and then
I think I heard about that.
started from scratch, and crime went way down, and police relationships went way up, and all this stuff. But I'd like to see more funding for police, so you can hire better police. You can be pickier because you're paying them more. You got more and better guys applying for it. The biggie I'd like to see is, like, I listen to Jocko Willink. You familiar with Jocko? All right, he's a former Navy SEAL dude.
Okay.
And he was saying they train so much and so hard in the Navy SEALs for any eventuality that when it happens, you know exactly what you're going to do. You're self-controlled. You're not emotional. You're calm. You're just, you know, you distance yourself and see it from above. So on. And police generally get very little training.
Yeah.
So Jocko's saying they ought to spend 1/5 of their time. So like if you have a 5-day work week, one of those days was spent training 8 hours all day for all kinds of different things. I've got a long list of things he said here, different scenarios, how to de-escalate things, train their emotions, train them how to deal with non-compliant people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, man, I'd like to see that with police. I think it could help.
Yeah, I feel like the same thing. I had a conversation yesterday specifically about politicians, and I just struggle because I feel like you're always in a situation, whether it be from a state level to the national level, of like trying to choose the best of two terrible people.
For who are you going to vote for?
Yeah. And so it's like I feel like there needs to also be a change in the quality of candidates. You know what I mean? Like, and what does that even look like to do that? That's a whole separate conversation.
Probably. So I don't know if you know this, but there are people who are really urging Dwayne The Rock to run for president as an independent. This is serious. You're laughing, but they're serious. I know it sounds crazy at first, right? Get Dwayne The Rock, and because he's a very successful businessman. He understands business. He understands finance. He's very articulate. He's very thoughtful. He's very disciplined. He's a problem solver. A good politician's got to be a problem solver. Like one of our big problems now, in my opinion, is we just don't have politicians who are saying, I know how to fix this. Go meet with the people. Let's get a group of us. Let's talk about solutions. Let's listen to both sides. We don't have that.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
right, I'm going to leave my list because we're almost out of time. So what would be on your list? Like if we could only change these 1 or 2 or 3 things in Baltimore City, it'd be a heck of a better place. What would that be?
Jeez.
Really?
That's a heavy question, man. Yeah, so I would have to go with the law enforcement side of things as well. I think more training and higher standards as far as who gets in.
Yeah, they're vetted better.
Yeah.
It's like to be a Navy SEAL, man. If they start with 100 guys, they end up with 3. And those 3 get in.
Which, by the way, is also what the church does.
Yes.
You know?
What you mean?
You don't let everybody in. There's a standard by which you Scripture is actually clear, and you got to be careful about the wolves and
But also like who you're going to let into leadership, who can be a pastor, right? They got to really be vetted.
For sure. Yeah. I think the law enforcement side of things for sure. I want to say beyond politics itself, I just think legislation. A lot of the legislation in our city and the county has to change.
And Crawford's big on that theme, isn't he? Mike Crawford?
Yeah.
Who used to be pastor of Freedom Number 1. We call you Freedom Number 2, and they're Freedom. Sorry, you're Number 2, man.
We're Freedom Junior.
We also refer to you as our granddaughter church.
I don't mind that. I don't.
That's affectionate. That's family, man. We love you guys.
Yeah. I'm not a granddaughter. The church is. So
the church is. That's right. But anyway, Crawford talks about that a lot. We need to change laws in Baltimore.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. I don't think many of us, and I'm going to include myself in this, even know a lot about the laws.
We don't. I've heard Crawford talk a number of times about, he asks people all the time, What do you have to do to change a law? And no one ever knows the answer.
Yeah, and that's a problem.
My answer would be Google how to change a law. Right? Oh, I know.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. We should have another one of these conversations because I want us to talk about something that you and I talked about last week, and just like the church's role in all of this. Because I've had a few conversations with different individuals, and a lot of people have some strong emotions toward the church right now.
Oh, I know. Tell me about
all these things, so I think it would be cool to talk about that.
Well, what are you doing next Wednesday morning early?
Hey, buddy, I'm here for you.
Maybe we should have that conversation. That would be a good one. What is the church's role in this?
Yeah.
That's what you were expecting to talk with me about today, wasn't it?
We got to do all this other stuff. Listen, I don't know. That's why I was like, what are we talking about today? I'm here for everything. You know that. I
do know that.
So, yeah, I think it'll be good, though, because I do think that, obviously, you're talking to Cornerstone. We're talking to Cornerstone, and I plan on sending this over for my church. But
I was going to let you know, if you want to share this with your church, feel free.
For sure. But I think the question has to be answered. We're gonna answer it. We're actually beginning a series this Sunday where we're going to start answering some of these questions.
Hey, that reminds me. I watched your last Sunday sermon.
Yes, sir.
That was awesome, man.
Thank you, man.
Really, I loved it.
Thank you.
I already knew I wanted you to come preach at our church, but I'd never heard you preach that I can remember anyway. so this time I listened to you, and I thought, oh, yeah, I definitely want him to come over here and preach. Yeah, we'll get you soon. We're at 36 and a half minutes, and they're going to cut us off. So, bro, I'm going to ask you to, would you pray over both of our churches and our people?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Thank you.
Lord, we need you. That has to be the first thing out of my mouth, because there's really nothing that any of us can do without you interceding and really bringing about true change in us and everyone else. And so I just pray, God, specifically for Cornerstone. I pray for Freedom and Zamil. I pray that you would make us people of courage. I pray that you would give us hearts to step into injustice in any way that we see it. Not just in a racial sense, but for anybody and everybody in every way. You gave us, Lord God, yourself, and so help us to give ourselves to other people. I thank you for Pastor Steve. I thank you for Cornerstone, for a church that wants to not just be a part of this world, but engage in culture and what it means to live out this Christian life in our present day. I thank you for that, God. I pray that you would use us to build your kingdom, and to bring about change in this world. Thank you for these conversations. Let us have more of these conversations, but also spur us on to action. God, we thank you for who you are. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen, bro. I love you, man.
Love you too, man.
Let's stay in touch, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, I will. I'll send you a link. Okay. Send you this link. All right. Cool.
Thank you. All right.
Great day.